Facebook is one of the giants of the internet today. But its founders may not have dreamed of this success when they started building it from scratch in their university dorm room. So how did one young US student go from coding in his dorm room to the head of one of the most important and influential tech firms in history? Mark Zuckerberg took the first steps of his path at an early age. Clearly understanding the importance of coding, Zuckerberg's father Edward taught him Atari basic computer programming. It didn't take long for his skills to become apparent. When he was 11, his parents hired a software developer named David Newman to tutor him. Newman to this day calls Zuckerberg a prodigy. Within a couple of years, Zuckerberg created an incredibly practical program, ZuckNet. His father ran a dentist's out of the house and wanted a simple way for the receptionist to contact him without shouting through their home. ZuckNet, which worked like an internal instant messaging system, did just that. While attending Phillips Exeter Academy, an elite boarding school, his drive to create did not abate. He attracted interest from AOL and Microsoft. They wanted to buy Synapse, a piece of software that learned a user's music taste through AI and listening habits he created with a friend, and give him a job. Ultimately, he turned it down and set his sights on Harvard. It's here where the origins of Facebook can be found. It's a decision he unlikely regrets now. Having turned down two of the biggest tech companies in the world, Zuckerberg headed off to Harvard in 2002. Clearly he had bigger plans. He chose to major in psychology, but took plenty of computer science classes along with it. At first the psychology choice seems strange. Why not major in programming or something similar? But when you think of Facebook's nature, the supposed addictive nature of the likes, comments, and pokes, the psychology part becomes clearer. Facebook from the off pulls you in to share personal details and seek out interaction from other people. Being able to design something like this must involve some knowledge of the human mind. Zuckerberg attracts his first big controversy in October 2003. He creates and published Facemash, a website that lets Harvard students judge the attractiveness of each other to create rankings, similar to the Hot or Not site that launched in 2000. As he didn't actually get permission to use student photos, unsurprisingly many were not happy with his work. Within a few hours the site had seen 22,000 photo views, but within a few days it was shut down. He was hauled in front of the Harvard administration board. With the risk of expulsion on the table, the board finally decided to let him stay. After a public apology he moved on from his first brush with authority and set his sights on his next project. It wasn't long until we saw the first iteration of a now near ubiquitous company. February 2004 saw Facebook launch. With a slightly different name, the platform was familiar. It had a profile where you could upload a photo, share your interests, and connect with other people. It also offered a network visualization of your connections. Initially this was only open to people with a Harvard email address, and within the first month 50% of the college's students had signed up. But there was a big problem Zuckerberg had to deal with from the off. He was being sued. Zuckerberg had previously worked on a similar project with fellow students Cameron Winklevoss, Tyler Winklevoss, and Divya Narendra. He eventually quit to do this one thing, Facebook. But this ex-collaborators say he stole their concept and ideas and they wanted recompense. They eventually came to a settlement in 2008, with each of the trio receiving 1.2 M shares in the Facebook company. Facebook was an instant hit and interest grew and grew and grew. By the end of 2004, membership was open to nearly all universities in the US and Canada and people were clamoring to sign up. June of that year also saw Zuckerberg move the company's operations to Palo Alto, California and secured some important investment. Co-founder of PayPal, Peter Thiel, joined the board and brought with him $500,000. In May 2005 the Facebook received more money. This time investments of $12.7 million from Excel and $1 million from the personal fortune of venture capitalist Jim Breyer. People were really paying attention now. In August the was dropped and the company officially became Facebook, the Facebook.com domain cost $200,000. The following month high school students are admitted, along with employees of Microsoft and Apple. The company was now ready to move beyond its student base. Then in November Zuckerberg took an important decisions about his own life. Having taken the semester off from Harvard, he announced he was leaving entirely, returning briefly to hire some new employees. After significant investment and a growing membership, Zuckerberg was ready to fully dedicate himself to running his company, as a CEO rather than a programmer. With the Zuck at the helm full-time, Facebook continued its expansion plans. In December Australian and New Zealand universities were included, along with high schools from Mexico, the UK, and Ireland. That meant there were now 2,500 colleges and 25,000 high schools with access to Facebook. It wasn't until September 2006 when the platform became open for everyone, well, anyone over 13 with a valid email address. Facebook had now gone fully global. In May 2007, Facebook opened their marketplace, which lets users post classifieds to sell products and services. It also saw the launch of the Facebook Application Developer Platform, opening the gates for developers to create their own applications and games that integrated with Facebook. The platform was also looking beyond personal profiles to how businesses could use the site. By the end of 2007, over 100,000 companies had signed up, with Facebook launching pages for businesses to support this. Already they're making plans to build on existing ad revenue to make advertising on the platform accessible to even the smallest of businesses. Then in 2008 we see a huge release from Facebook. April 2008 saw Facebook Chat roll out, allow us to more instantly annoy our friends and family. Essentially, the concept is no different to ZuckNet. We also see the People You May Know, Facebook Wall, and Facebook Connect released in the same year. We also saw one of the big Facebook games appear. Farmville was released in June 2009 and, despite being a rip-off of a game called Farm Town, became a huge success. By August it had 10 million daily active users. So much virtual corn. Then, finally, in December 2009, Facebook hits a major milestone. With 350 million registered users and 132 million unique monthly users, it becomes the most popular social platform in the world. Of course, the company wasn't planning to leave it at that. The following year saw lots more tweaking and changes, such as the ability to like comments and improvements to photo tagging. July saw the number of registered users hit 500 million, while the end of the year saw a big valuation of the company. In November 2010 Facebook was valued at a massive $41 billion. Meanwhile it became the third largest web company in the US, sitting behind Google and Amazon. All of this being achieved in under 5 years with no sign of progress slowing. Another huge milestone was reached the following year. June 2011 saw Facebook reach 1 trillion page views, according to a study by DoubleClick. And then, for the year overall, Nielsen found the site was the second most visited in the United States. August also saw the release of Facebook Messenger as a standalone app. This came after the company acquired Beluga, a group messaging service, back in March. Facebook had now become a huge name, a globally used website, and at the head of the social media revolution. Not too shabby from someone who was still in school just a few years prior. Now we reach 2012, which is probably one of the most important years in Facebook's history. In April we see Facebook make a major acquisition, Instagram. Spending $1 billion, we get an idea of the kind of resources the platform now has at its disposal. This was just a month before the year's big event. The IPO. A platform open to everyone is on the surface a wonderful idea. Unfortunately, everyone involves a lot of awful people who like nothing more than using the internet to be awful people to as large an audience as possible. Facebook had gained a major abuse and hate speech problem and seemed ill-equipped to deal with it. Campaigning from groups like the Everyday Sexism Project and wider complaints from the user base led to Facebook to take action. In a blog post they admitted their moderation efforts had failed to work as effectively as they'd liked. To try and tackle the issue they announced a number of changes. February 2014 saw Facebook's 10-year anniversary. An incredible amount had been achieved since the dorm rooms of Harvard. So what was next? First up were strong mobile figures. Facebook had been a proponent of a good mobile experience for a long time. This paid off with the first 3 months of the year seeing 1 billion users log into the platform using a mobile device. We also saw another major acquisition. In February 2014 Facebook announced they'd be buying WhatsApp for an incredible $19 billion. While Facebook already had a messaging system, this acquisition gave the access to WhatsApp's younger user base and their overseas users. And the following month there was another major buy. This time the virtual reality company, Oculus VR. In a post from Zuckerberg he said the Oculus VR headset would enable even more useful, entertaining, and personal experiences. April saw another big change. Despite owning a technically competing app, Facebook decided to remove Messenger from the main app and make it its own application. This means people who have to download it separately to use it. As of April 2017, Messenger boasts 1.2 billion active users. It wasn't all good though. In June 2014 it was revealed Facebook had been experimenting on their users. Essentially the platform chose to show you certain content in an attempt to influence your mood. Unsurprisingly many were not happy being tested on. After people complained Facebook agreed to change how they conducted experiments, but didn't make it all the way to apologizing. Meanwhile Facebook's market capitalization was growing, reaching $200 billion by September and showing the company was still moving forward financially. With strong financials bringing in the new year, Facebook's first major announcement of 2017 related to journalism, unsurprisingly. In an attempt to position itself as a company that wanted proper journalists to succeed they launched the Facebook Journalism Project. With the aim to establish stronger ties between Facebook and the news industry, the platform would offer up new formats for storytelling, encourage local news, offer journalism training, and teach people how to spot fake news. The first quarter saw a number of updates to the platform too. There were new options to help others access food and shelter in emergencies, reactions added to Messenger, and new suicide prevention tools. But, inevitably, attention came back to fake news. In January 2018 Facebook started the year off with a big change, a new algorithm. The news feed would now be even more focused on your family and friends. This meant your own statuses and photos would be seen far more, but it would near kill off organic reach for companies, charities, and organizations. In other words, if you ran a page, you were going to see your reach fall unless you started paying for ads. In some ways this is a return to the original days of Facebook before ads were commonplace and you were just there to post photos of your night out. For people who made money running businesses on Facebook, it could kill their livelihood. The first results on the change weren't positive either. Since the change, Facebook announced that people were spending 5% less time on the platform. Of course, this could be the case of people have to sift through less stuff they're interested in. At this time, it's too early to gauge its success properly. Nevertheless, when things got down to money, Facebook were still on the up. In February 2018, the financial data for 2017 was released. They took $15.90 in profits for 2017, a 56% increase on the previous year. After harassment, privacy issues, and fake news, Facebook was still raking in the cash. Zuckerberg certainly doesn't regret turning down Microsoft and AOL now. On the March 17, 2018, a story broke. The New York Times and The Guardian reported that data on tens of millions of Facebook users, up to 87 million of them, had been scraped through an app called This Is Your Digital Life. People who used this app not only passed on their own personal information, but that of their Facebook friends too. As more and more people used the app, seemingly for a bit of fun, it soon collected a momentous amount of data. Aside from this being pretty dodgy in itself, the data was then used for political purposes to support various campaigns, including those of Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. It was also used by the Vote Leave, a group that campaigned in support of Brexit. Suddenly all eyes were on Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, and people were not happy. There were calls for increased regulations around personal data, while many investigated how to remove themselves from Facebook. The searches around "delete Facebook" shows just how worried people got. Zuckerberg apologized for the issue and suspended Cambridge Analytica. The company ceased operations itself on May 1st, and a slew of apps from the platform to address the problems people raised. As you can see on the Facebook history timeline, Facebook, the company, not the app, changed its name to Meta Platforms in October 2021. But why the rename? Well, quite a lot of voices said it happened in an attempt to shake off the scandals the company has had been involved in the last years, including spreading misinformation, data leaks, and others. However, CEO Mark Zuckerberg stated that Facebook changed its name primarily because the Meta name was more closely aligned with what the company was working toward, namely the metaverse, an online virtual space that would unify multiple disparate digital worlds. As of July 2022, Mark Zuckerberg's net worth is $63 billion according to Bloomberg's Billionaires Index. The Facebook founder has lost over 50% of his wealth in 2022. Still, he remains one of the richest people in the world, currently ranking 17th. It's estimated that Facebook, Meta Platforms, owns over 90 companies, many of which are hidden to the public, so it would be quite difficult to list them all. However, here are a few of the top companies owned by the social media giant: Instagram, Giphy, WhatsApp, Oculus VR, Onevo, TBH, Atlas Solutions, LiveRail, Redkicks, Control Labs, Beluga, Spool, FriendFeed, ConnectU. This is the exact same company that's known in the history of Facebook as the one that accused Zuckerberg of stealing the idea for the social networking platform. As a result of the lawsuit settled in 2008, besides other payments Facebook made towards the accusers, it also bought ConnectU as part of the settlement. This is a true success story of how a simple man can become a successful man on his own. This is the story of the most popular social website. Like most success stories, it all starts from a desire and hard work. Friends, which social website is your favorite? Write in the comments. That's it for today. Like the video if you found it interesting and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting success stories.